Welcome back to Attitude Effort Results presented by Teamwork Online and the Clubhouse. Today's special. Today's going to be a fun one. Today we're going to talk about how not to limit your influence. A couple of weeks ago, we started a new series called What is Tanner Doing Now, or What is Attitude Effort Results Doing Now? Again, this is a journey. We want you to come along this journey with us. We are starting to talk with universities. We are starting to talk with colleges. We are starting to do more one-on-one coaching between Hunter and myself. We are growing, and we want you to come on this journey with us. Again, this is not me talking at you. This is me talking to a younger me, really. And this is me hopefully providing value to everybody out there that catapults you to the next goal, catapults you towards your personal and professional goals. So right now, what are we doing at Attitude Effort Results? We are hiring for a graphic design position. When this episode comes out, we will be in the interview process to add team member number 8. Yes, we are going to be a team of 8 soon. I remember when we first posted, this was like 6 months ago. We posted that we were going to be a team of 5, and I thought that was crazy. And then it was a team of 6, and then instead of one salesperson, we brought 2 on. So it was a team of 7, and now we're thinking about 8. And as we continue to think about this, because of the structure that we have set up, with Hunter overseeing both of our sales ladies, with the social team really taking it on as their own business, we could grow to a team of 30 right now and be completely fine. And I think that's what's so cool, that as we walk through this process to help others, how Hunter and I are growing, and truthfully how I'm growing as a leader, on how we're not micromanaging teams. Like, social is truly Kyron and Maddie's business that they are running. Do they have to get final approval through me for some of the marketing dollar spends, things like that? Like, maybe, but it's their ideas that they're running with, and they have been given budgets and they have been given parameters, and those parameters are really just like, hey, this is you. Go build a portfolio so when you are getting a professional career, when you are starting your career path, you can show an employer a profile. And that's what they've been doing. They've been absolutely killing it. We, as you guys have probably seen, ran a giveaway. We're here to serve. Let's give. The goal at the end of the giveaway was to be at 400 followers. That was the goal. We were at 500 in like 3 days of that thing running. And we're just keep continuing to grow. So that's where we're at right now. If you want us to speak to your college or university, we've been doing a lot of that recently. We have done, I think, 12 universities and colleges now. And we just did the University of Utah a couple weeks ago. There was like 12 students on the call. Hunter had 5 or 6 people reach out to him. I had the same. That's like almost half of the people that are reaching out, doing one-on-one coaching, one-on-one phone calls. That's how we grow people. That's how people grow in this industry. So if you want us to speak to your program, DM us on Instagram. Reach out to our sales team, Sydney and Veronica, candidly. As soon as you reach out to us, Hunter and I are going to push it directly towards Sydney and Veronica. We give them full autonomy to run their business. They set everything up. They are absolutely incredible at what they do, and we give them the autonomy to run it their way. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about what you don't know, how the Attitude Effort Results presence is everywhere, it seems, right now, how influence has no age limit, which I think is massive for all of our younger listeners, and 50% of our listeners are between that 18 to 27-year-old gap. And then we're going to talk about influence versus control, and we're going to give you a little bit of grace of God. Again, I will never press faith on you, but you guys know where I stand. So, you don't know what you don't know, or you don't know who you don't know. That's my first topic today, because you have no idea who you're talking to. And as we talk today, the goal of today's episode is to give you guys tips, tricks, give you guys circumstances on how to not limit your influence. And so as you start your career, as you're in school, I want you to get out there and talk to people. I want you to get out there, put your brand out there, create your personal brand, because you don't know what you don't know. What if somebody you talk to happens to know somebody else over here? Right? What if Hunter never talked to the manager with the Arizona Diamondbacks? He would have never, the short answer is he would have never gotten a job with the Diamondbacks. The long answer is he would have never had an opportunity to take part in the Attitude Effort Results podcast. He would have never had the opportunity to now have this on his resume for the rest of his career. He will never have had the opportunity to start a business with me as we're doing right now. He will never have the opportunity to influence as many people like we are doing for you right now. So you don't know what you don't know is by having one conversation with one inside sales manager with one organization, Hunter opened all of those doors for himself. You don't know what you don't know. By the time you talk to somebody, you just absorb their network. We were talking with the University of Utah a couple weeks ago, and I gave an example. It's like that old snake game that you guys used to play, right? This might be dating myself. I hope it's not dating myself that much, but as you are going around as the snake and eating things, you absorb that, and your snake gets longer, your train gets longer. In addition to that, everybody that reaches out to us and talks to Hunter or I, you now have access to every sports team in the country by 1 or 2 phone calls. So I'm confident that Hunter and I can get to all 159 teams. I think there's 159 teams in professional sports in 1 or 2 phone calls. And so by building a relationship with us, you have the opportunity to do that and absorb into your network. So you don't know what you don't know. You don't know who you don't know. So don't limit your influence by holding back and not getting out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone and continue to grow your influence. Continue to grow your network because that's important as you guys continue to grow in your career. The second point here is the Attitude Effort Results presence is everywhere. And this might seem like we're coming at it from I want to tell you how good we are. I promise you that's not where it's coming from. And if you guys have listened to episodes before, if you've met Hunter or I, if you talk to us, you know who we are. That's not why we're saying it. The reason I'm saying it is because this podcast started me in my room in Miami trying to get words in a place where they will never die. Simply because I wanted people to stop reaching out to me and having conversations. Again, I'm a very firm believer. I think God was laughing at me when I started that. Now, obviously, more people are reaching out, but we've transitioned into a new period of time. The Attitude Effort Results presence started with an idea. It took about 2 years to fester inside of me, and now it's taken about 1.5 years to really find its groove. And we're still learning every single time we get out there. But I want you to listen closely. By that one decision that I made, and all the people around me that have helped, we have connected with 12 universities and colleges so far. 3 sports teams have partnered with a podcast. I just got asked to speak with a sales team. The goal of this podcast is young individuals, colleges, universities, helping get into the sports industry. We are going to probably transition into broadening that a little bit because 14% of our audience is 45 years plus, which is awesome. So we're probably going to broaden that a little bit. We just want to help and coach and influence people, so it doesn't have to be just this class. But that's where it started. Somebody just reached out and said, hey, I have a team of 40 sales individuals. I actually haven't even told Hunter about this. He's learning about it right now. This is how many things go through my head, and I forget to send them out to Hunter all the time. And my wife, Callie, hates me for that. She's like, you didn't tell me about that. And I'm like, well, I thought about it 30 times. She's like, yeah, I never learned about it. A individual reached out to me and said, hey, I have 40 sales individuals underneath me. I have been listening to the podcast, and we are now teaching what you're teaching, personally and professionally. Can you come talk to our organization? 40 sales professionals. Guys, I'm a 26-year-old individual. Hunter is 23. I always forget how young you are. Hunter's 23 years old. We just got asked to go speak to 40 sales professionals. How cool is that? Don't limit your influence. Our influence cannot be limited. You have to dream a little bit bigger. There's 29 countries. People have listened to us in 29 countries. 2% of the overall listeners are from Canada. I never even thought about going to a second country. I never even thought about maybe translating this. Can AI translate this into another language and get us out there? Probably, right? Don't limit your influence. We are 60% male audience, 40% female, which is awesome. Don't limit your influence to one group, to one subcategory. We are intentional about broadening what we do, and I want you to be intentional about broadening and articulating what you're saying so you can have more influence on individuals. The ladies here are showing up in a massive way, and I love that. The world needs more fierce, more strong, more intelligent leaders that are women. Listen, there is nothing more bold and honestly maybe more scary than a strong woman leader. I would rather go, this is a very personal and true statement. I would rather go into my VP, my executive vice president, my CEO, or my CRO. I would rather go into their office if I'm in trouble, which I'm not at work almost ever or ever. I would rather go into any of their offices than our director of communications. And the reason is because she's scarier than all of them. Because she's fierce, she's strong, she's bold, she's confident, she knows what she's doing, and she's great at what she does. So women out there, we need more of you. Bring more women to this podcast. Bring more women, and you have influence on them because we need more of you in this world. There's a presence and a power when you have influence. And here's where we're going to go with this. Don't limit your influence. By us doing this podcast, we've also I just had a conversation with a guy who started a private wealth and financial company. He reached out and said, hey, I've seen what you're doing on LinkedIn. I don't know what this is. Please tell me about it. This guy's been in business for 40 years, and he has his own company, works with athletes. So he represents athletes all over the country, mostly professional. And he's reaching out to us 23 and 26-year-olds over here and saying, hey, tell me, talk to me. Don't limit your influence. The second point I have comes from Hunter. Another guy reached out, actually not really reached out, kind of posted on LinkedIn. And other college students have done this as well, which is really cool because we don't really we're not like, hey, promote us, tell me we're good, I want to feel good. That's not really our thing. But a guy reached out posted on LinkedIn, giving us shout outs and how our episodes have helped them grow their career, grow their habits, grow their personal lives. That is what our influence is doing. We don't even know. Some of these people we don't even know. And they're reaching out to us or posting on LinkedIn for all of their family, all of their friends to see because they want to have influence on others. And that's what influence does to people. Number 2 point today. Influence has no age limit. For those of you who are old enough to remember when LeBron and Kobe were coming out of high school, imagine the influence that they had out of high school, 18-year-olds. Most recently, all of us sports individuals probably have heard the name Caitlin Clark before. Yeah, raise your hand if you've heard the name Caitlin Clark before. Most likely. She has influence at a young age. She has more influence at a young age than most people will ever have in their lives. She has rallied people who are 4 years old to 90 plus years old. Guys from Travis Scott, Jake from State Farm, President Biden, all of these people are in attendance to see her because she has influence. There is no age limit on influence. And I'm trying to get this point across to me because there's a lot of young individuals, a lot of college kids out there let me get a leadership title and then I can have influence on people. Let me get a promotion and then I can lead people. Let me get to the top and then I will have made it. There's a goal at the end of the tunnel, and the goal is to get XYZ position or to get this job or that job. And as soon as I get that job, then I can become a leader. Then I can become influential. Wrong. You don't get influence when you become a leader. You lead first, and then you get influence. Let me say that again. You don't get influence when you become a leader. You become a leader, and then you get influence. A second point. Paige Beckers. I just listened to an episode. Alex Rodriguez's Alex Rodriguez has a podcast called The Deal. If you want to learn about sports and business and deal making, this is not we're not sponsored by them at all, but a phenomenal podcast. As Alex Rodriguez does a podcast. It's called The Deal, hosted by A-Rod. He just did an episode with Sue Bird, arguably the best women's basketball player of all time. I don't actually know if it's even that big of an argument. I think I have to say Diana Taurasi because I work for the team. She probably is up there in the GOAT conversations, right? She scored the most points in women's history. Sue Bird tells of a story of her seeing the women's game flip when Paige Beckers was in high school. Why? Because Paige Beckers had influence over people in high school. There's no age limit. She was influencing the WNBA when Paige was in high school because she was a leader at her level. You lead first and then you get influence. It does not go the other way around. What if Paige or Caitlin Clark would have waited to lead others until they were in college? What if they would have waited to lead others until they were in the WNBA? What if they would have waited to lead others until they were the greatest scorer of all time or until they won a national championship? Oh, as soon as I become a leader, then I'll have influence. No, it's the opposite way around. Paige would have never had influence on women's basketball, which now, without, Paige has had an impact on the WNBA. She's not even in the WNBA. And Sue Bird is saying that, hey, Paige has had impact on the WNBA. The WNBA, without her in it, has skyrocketed because of the influence she had, because she led people in high school. She rallied people around her in high school. Sue Bird's now an owner of a WNBA team. There is an owner of a WNBA team telling us that a high schooler has more influence than most people she knows. My point here is that influence has no age limit. Influence has no age limit. And we need more young, fierce leaders in this industry. We need more young, fierce leaders in today's society. Everybody wants to get out of work or get out of school, make $100K and sit on the couch. How about we, as elite individuals, if you're listening right now, you're an elite individual, how about we get out and lead people first? And we change where the trajectory of this country is going. Yeah, that sounds broad, but we're going to talk about it in a future episode. Like, we need to think bigger. I never thought people from 29 countries would be listening to this podcast, or owners of private equity firms would be reaching out to us, or we'd be having interviews with the second in command of the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe we just need to think bigger, because we do have influence. You have influence on the people around you. Influence does not come first. Leadership does. Ask your professor if you can go help teach others. Lead others first. Ask your manager if you can take tasks off of his or her plate. Lead first. Ask your parents if you can do more chores. How many of you, here's a fun one. How many of you have gone to your parents and say, please give me more chores? How many have gone to your professor and say, hey, without any credit or anything, I would just love to do more work. I would love to help others in this class. How many of you who are in the professional world right now have gone to your leader and said, hey, I'd love to take some tasks off your plate. I don't want to get paid more. I don't want to get promoted. I just want to lead. I just want to lead from the front and just do more. No, our society right now says, pay me more and then I'll do more work. Promote me and then I'll try harder. Give me influence. Give me a higher title and then I'll go start leading people. That's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. You lead first and then influence comes down the road. What if you ask your friends, hey, how can I make your life easier? Let me lead the friend group first. What if you're like, I really don't like leading in front of big people. I really don't want to lead a basketball team, a volleyball team. I'm just not that personality. I'm not outgoing. I'm not confident. That's okay. Start by leading one person. Ask a friend, hey, how can I help you today? Can I lead today? Can I help you lead today? Because when you're the leader and you're a go-getter and you are a doer, when an influential opportunity comes up, you're going to get that opportunity. Opportunities flock to you when you become a leader. Because when that position, that promotion, that recommendation, that referral from a professor gets to give one referral in the class, guess who they're going to? They're going to the leader. Put yourself in that position. That's not something you're like, oh, I wish I was the top person in class. No, go do it. Be a doer, be a mover, be a shaker. Your name will be in the hat if you're a shaker and a mover in this world. I promise you. Humbly speaking, it's always fun listening to what somebody's going to say after they start a sentence by that. Like, humbly speaking, I'm going to brag. You're like, well, is that really humble? You're about to brag, so why don't you just say you're going to brag? Okay, we're going to brag a little bit. If Hunter and I would have waited for leadership titles, we would still have no influence on this world. We would not have influenced a single person because neither of us are in leadership positions. We so far have helped over 10 people get jobs in the sports industry. We have connected with 12 universities, and we are just getting started. 3 professional sports teams. You guys heard all the stats prior. We are influencing people because we are doers, we are movers, we are shakers in this industry. And we have intentionally gone and done it. But we have not sought influence. That's another thing. We both would love to influence as many people as possible. But we're not doing this for recognition. We're doing this to help. We become leaders in our space first, and then we have the autonomy to go influence people. If Hunter and I were not leaders in our positions at work with our exact team, how many people are on your team right now, Hunter? 10. He's got 10 people. I also, 9 right now. So we had to start by leading a team of, he had to start by leading a team of 10. I had to start by leading a team of 9. If we did not lead our teams, we would not have the autonomy to produce a podcast. Because both of our employers would say, hey, get your stuff together, stop all this outside BS, and focus on why I'm paying you. But we both lead our teams right now, thus we have more autonomy to influence people. I heard this the other day from my manager, which I never heard before. I thought it was interesting, but I'm glad he said it. He stood up in a room full of people, our entire organization, presented me with an award. It was a Rookie of the Year. He stood up in front of our entire organization, 250 to 300 people, and said, most people told us not to hire Tanner. And the only reason they could come up with is because I focused too much on a podcast. But then he learned I was a leader. And since he learned I was a leader, he has not once brought up the podcast unless he's genuinely asking how it's going. But influence does not come first. Leadership does. Here's a challenge for you. There's a difference between influence and control. What do you want? Do you want influence? Or deep down, do you want control? Massive difference. Most people in this world, I believe, want control. I said it earlier. If you guys reach out to us with a university or college, we've talked to business frats, I talked to the University of Miami Law, which I was the least intelligent person in that entire call, which was awesome. You want to talk about getting in rooms you don't deserve to be in? That was me, general counsel for Chicago Bears for 20 years. The guy who signed Aaron Rodgers and was his agent, a sports agent right now. I was the least intelligent in that room. An entire room full, 50, 60 law students. And then Tanner Natsky. A lot of people in this world want control. I don't want control. again, like I said earlier, when you reach out to us with a university or school, which if you're listening in, I have not talked to, Hunter has not talked to your school, you should be reaching out. Again, we're not asking for money. We're genuinely asking to give back. As soon as you reach out, I'm handing it to Sydney and Veronica, who are our two salespeople, because I do not want control. I am giving control to them for them to run their business. There's a difference between influence and control. Leaders influence, not control. Influence is leading by vision. It's my job. If I'm going to give myself a title, it'd be the founder of this company, this podcast, to visualize the future and to help guide people in the right direction, not to do the work every single time. Promise you I put in my fair share of work. Promise you Hunter puts in his fair share of work. But it's not our jobs to produce anything social. It's not our jobs to be in the start of the sales conversations, because we have empowered people to be in those positions. When you aim to build your influence over time, you focus on a long-term goal. That does not mean there's not going to be some short-term setbacks, because there will. There will be some short-term setbacks. But if you focus on influence and not control, you can have a broader term. On the opposite side, in contrary, when leadership is based on control, now the small failures, the setbacks that you will have, this is not if you do have them, when you do have them, those small failures become unacceptable. How can you be doing this? You failed. What professors have you guys had that have done that? What managers have you had that? Oh my goodness, you messed up this one phone call. You messed up this one play call if you're a coach. You didn't tape this ankle right if you were an AT. And they just nitpick you on one thing. Professor, you are an A student and you get a C and they just absolutely grill you. That's control. Nobody likes those managers. And if you do like those managers, please DM me. I would love to pick your brain. I would love to get on a phone call and learn how you think. Not control you, but genuinely learn what your thought process is. Leading your team with strictly instructions, trying to gain influence in the short term, is not impactful in the long term. It's not my job to micromanage Kyron and Maddie on every social media post. Genuinely, they post so often, and I'm not on social media a lot. I maybe go on Instagram once a day and TikTok once a week, maybe. Like, Callie sends me TikToks all the time, and I only see it with like 35. She's like, it's been 2 weeks. I sent you this 3 weeks ago. It's not even relevant anymore. I'm like, I'm just not on it. And actually, I'll send Hunter a couple TikToks, but hey, this is actually kind of fun. You should listen to it. Good, empowering messages. You guys should actually see my TikTok. It's like strictly business and mindset. You guys are like, this is the most boring TikTok of all time. It's supposed to be fun. Not mine. Mine's business oriented. I'll send Hunter something. I'm like, this is a great mindset. You should have it. And he's like, yeah, still don't have it downloaded. Like, I've sent him like 3 or 4 times. He's like, yeah, still haven't downloaded it. It's not my job to control social media. It's my job to find great people. Oh, I found great people. Oh my goodness, have I found great people. I am already proud and very excited for when the 4 girls that we have right now that are running our social media and our sales programs, in 5 years, they're going to be running whatever team they're on. All 4 of them. I guarantee it. 100% guarantee it. Timestamp it right now. Guarantee they're going to be running teams. They are elite individuals. They are clean. They are crisp. They are motivated. They are hardworking. They are intelligent. It's not my job to control the front end of the sales conversations or any social media. It's my job to visualize as a leader and empower them to do their work. And that's how you gain influence. Because I also firmly believe in 5 years, when neither of these 4 individuals that work for us right now will be working for us in 5 years. They will have bigger things to do. I promise you, if I don't talk to them from today until 5 years, which would be a terrible job of following up on my part, as soon as I text them in 5 years, whatever I ask for, they will do. Because we have gained influence. That's the power of influence. You lead first, you empower your people, you visualize a future that involves everybody, and you gain influence. I told you we were going to talk about, we called it the grace of God section. I will never push faith on everybody, on anybody. You guys know where I stand, though. We are blessed here to be a blessing. It is our duty to serve others in this world. That is my why in life. I challenge you all to have a why. Why do you do things? Some people are like, oh, I'm in sales because I like making money. Like, that's my why. No, your why needs to be deeper than that. Okay, my why is because I want to buy a house. No, that's not your why. It needs to be deeper than that. Okay, my why is because I want to buy a house for my family. No, it needs to be deeper than that. What is your why? Keep going on your why. My why is to serve people. To go deeper, my why is to serve people because God died for us. He served us. It is my duty to serve others. So it's our duty to serve you in this world. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. Influencing others is an opportunity that we have in this world. It's an opportunity that you have also. And I'm telling this to you because I care. And I truly believe you have an opportunity to influence others. If you tell one person about this podcast and it helps them, you influence others. When Hunter and I value an hour of our time after work, after an 8 or 10 hour day, and one person comes back and says, thank you, that was helpful, that's influence. We could talk to 50 people or one person. And if one person comes back and says, you just helped me grow my career, you just helped me create habits in my personal life, we win. Because that's the goal. And you have that goal also. And you have that opportunity to influence others. And I firmly believe that you can do this. I firmly believe that God has given you the talents, the opportunities, the visions to influence people. And that starts by leading. What if the title of this episode is Don't Limit Your Influence? Okay? I want you to use your gifts, your talents, your faith, your drive, your passion, and think beyond the current bubble that you're in. Whatever bubble that is, you may be in the biggest bubble of all time. You're like, dude, I see the world from a 70,000 foot view. But guess what? You're still in a bubble. I saw the world from this view. Very small-minded, very closed bubble. I just keep popping bubbles and growing. So regardless of how big your circle of influence is right now, I challenge you to think beyond the bubble that you're in. What if, here's a scenario, an example, a challenge. What if instead of just being a part of the choir, you create a Spotify channel and you record everything that the choir does? What if you start a documentary on how this choir was formed and the journey you take on it? What if you go out and look for partnerships for this choir? Because you guys are great. What if you go look for record deals and shows and activities for your choir to participate in? You have the opportunity maybe with your choir to influence 0 people if it's just a class, or maybe to influence 100 people at your annual show for the high school or grade school or college, whatever you're in. But what if you created a Spotify channel? Now you have the opportunity to influence thousands, maybe millions of people. Our church choir, we have about 10,000 people that go to our church. Awesome church. Pastor Travis is one of the best people that God has ever created. And he's got 10,000 people at his church, which is great. So his choir, his praise group can influence 10,000 people every Sunday. That's pretty big influence. But if that's all they did, they could only ever reach 10,000. But what about creating a Spotify? What about creating a recording label? They went to number one. Now they haven't. They did that, created it, recorded a song, posted it for the public. It went number one in the first 24 hours. Now that song, for eternity, because those never die, the internet is not going away. Breaking news, it's here. That song, for eternity, has an opportunity to influence millions of people because somebody thought outside the box. So what if you did the same? What if instead of just helping one person in math class, you create a master class of those math lessons? What if you partner with a couple professors at your university, streamline the process for anybody who ever has math questions ever again behind you? So anybody whoever needs the help that you're giving right now, anybody who ever has that same question can click a button and watch it on YouTube, can watch it on this platform. That's influence. Because now they can learn from you. Now you're growing your brand and your influence. So I challenge you to think outside the box. What thoughts, when I went through those two scenarios, came to your head? What have you been thinking about that you have not stepped out and done? Where are you limiting your influence right now? Don't limit your influence. I'm passionate about this because I love you guys. And I trust that you can broaden your horizons and influence thousands, if not millions of people. Ed Milet, who I listen to all the time, I know exactly what I'm going to say to him when I see him. He has private jets. He's got all the luxury cars. He's got an island. He's got everything that anybody could ever possibly materially want. But the biggest thing he's got is influence. And as soon as I see him, I'm going to say thank you because I am a product of your influence. I'm not a fan of Ed Milet. I am a product of Ed Milet. He has no idea who I am. I might never meet him. I am a visual person and I am positive that I will meet him one day. But he has no idea who I am. And he has influenced me to influence others. And that's my challenge for you today. Go influence somebody. Let's inspire others and continue to grow together.